Good day, everyone. This is Mildred Reyes Kai, third year college student of Bachelor of Arts in English Language and Applied Linguistics. I will now go ahead and tackle about integrative approach in learning teaching. Firstly, let's answer the question, what is integrative approach? According to Aller in 1979, he did argue that language competence is a unified set of interacting abilities that cannot be tested separately. Theoretical studies involves the testing of language and context and is thus concerned primarily with meaning and the total communicative effect of discourse. So with this one, integrative tests are not concerned just on a specific context, but on a global view of proficiency. Which is why it is argued that every learner should process regardless of the purpose for which the language is being learned. So, integrative tests do not seek to separate language skills into neat divisions in order to improve test reliability. You know what? Instead, they are often designed to assess the learner's ability to use two or more skills simultaneously. Under this approach or integrative approach, it is actually divided into two on how to successfully dictate the approach of one's learners. It's actually divided into two, that would be closed testing and dictation. Let's start with what is closed testing. It measures the reader's ability to decode interrupted and mutilated messages by making the most acceptable substitutions from all the contextual clues available. So it actually works this way. Every ninth word is deleted in a text. It's usually every fifth, sixth, or seventh word, and students have to complete each gap in the text using the most appropriate word chosen. So there are actually two methods of scoring a closed test. 1 mark may be awarded for each acceptable answer, or else 1 mark may be awarded for each exact answer. So in addition to this one, I just want to quote that no student should be penalized for misspellings unless a word is so badly spelled that it cannot be understood. Grammatical errors, however, should be penalized in those closed tests, which are designed to measure familiarity with the grammar of the language rather than reading. And studies shown that closed test performance in correlates highly with the listening, writing, and speaking abilities. In other words, closed test is a good indicator of general linguistic ability. Next would be dictation. It's actually described as a means of measuring students' skills of listening comprehension. This integrated skills involved in tests of dictation includes auditory discrimination, the auditory memory span spelling, the recognition of sound segments, and familiarity with the grammatical, lexical patterning of the language, and overall textual comprehension. Unfortunately, with this test, however, there is no reliable way of assessing the relative importance of the different abilities required. And in each error in dictation, it's usually penalized in exact the same way. So, dictations encourages, and the other way, students to focus on his or her attention too much on the individual sounds rather on the meaning of the text as a whole, which is completely different from closed test. So to further discuss this one, I'll go ahead and provide to you a model on the slide. And here you can see that integrative testing is differentiate into two. That's again closed test and dictation. With this one, teachers create 150 or 300 words in which roughly deleting 7th or ninth or, as I've mentioned earlier, 6th words, and test takers are required to supply words to those blanks. Others claim that closed test results are good measures of overall proficiency. According to some theoretical constructs and blindness claim, the ability to supply appropriate words in blanks requires a number of abilities that lies in the competencies of language. Like for example, knowledge. Knowledge of vocabulary, grammatical structures, discourse structure, reading skills, strategies, and internalized expectancy grammar. So, essentially, learners listen to a passage. On the other part of the graphic, you can see dictations. It's actually often presented as learners listen to a passage of about 100 or 150 words and write what they hear using correct spellings. So the listening portions has 3 stages. That would be oral reading without pauses, oral reading with long pauses between every phrase, and reading at normal speed. This is to give takers a chance to read what they wrote. So, since it has been exaggerated on what is the use and the different types of tests regarding this approach, what is its benefits? So, we know that students are more engaged when they see a purpose in what they are doing. So, a key feature of this approach is based on meaningful learning experiences that are truly connected to the real world. So, yeah, self explanatory. It's much more relatable when we allow students to be a part of the topic and not to be an audience of a context. So, another benefit is during an integrated approach, students organically use multiple objectives while navigating their way through the learning experiences, while trying to understand the world around them. Unlike any other approach where the teachers dictate students to follow a, follow a specific approach or continue a procedure. With this approach, it allows students to think outside of the box. Another thing is, what is my role as a teacher when applying an integrated approach? As a teacher, in this approach, my role is to facilitate the students through the learning process. It's to guide them to make meaningful connection with the content and with each other. So for this one, it is the responsibility of the teacher to identify opportunities to teach and assess a variety of objects in real time while your students are engaging in the learning process. Again, there are students who have different ways of approaching learning, and it is also much more efficient to have real-time objectives. Therefore, teacher needs to be familiar with the curriculum in order to identify potential learning opportunities. So, how do you get your students become active participants in class discussions? So, when applying an integrated approach, the focus really does shift from the teacher to the students. Not again a dictative approach wherein it is always the point of view of teachers and students are just there watching or seeing or seeking for attention regarding the topic. With this one, students learn best when again they engage in the learning process. As a teacher, we want our students to firstly engage with each other. With that, they will learn each of their experiences. Second, engage with the ideas. Engaging with the ideas, exchanging ideas to each other allows students to check their learning and to assess what they have learned. Lastly, we also need to engage these ideas and learnings with taking action, and that is to guide them with their learning. I actually have read an article presenting a technique on how to successfully assess or allow learners to acquire the language using integrative approach. It's actually called give one, get one technique. So how does it works? Teachers poses questions or offers a topic for exploration and students individually generate several responses. Second, teacher describes what student will explain or discuss when they share ideas with each other. And the next would be teacher establishes a goal in terms of number of ideas to collect or a designated time in which to collect ideas. Students will stand up, connect with a peer, and listen to one another's initial responses. Each student then gives a new idea for their partner's initial list, elaborating the importance of this addition. Students find a new partner and repeat the process. With the students return to their table groups and share their expanded list. I remember doing this in senior high school, where our teacher in media and information literacy would give us a piece of paper, call the leaders, and tell the leaders what to do. This is for a specific topic. All of us are not fully aware of where would the topic go or what is the flow of the topic. We are just given idea or a presented idea for us to collect much more ideas with the people around or the people in the classroom. And I can really say that it is effective because once I have collected all the ideas of my classmates, I'm actually an empty slate when I did started to have the paper with me, but when I was able to have the ideas of my classmates, I was able to conclude their context regarding the topic. So for this one, the purpose of give one, get one is a routine to encourage students to listen closely to one another. Again, getting them engaged, contribute to another's ideas, and tune into a variety of perspectives. The routine functions as a tool and structures to initiate physical movement to meet others with a greater purpose of promoting perspective seeking, divergent thinking, elaboration of a variety of ideas central to the topic being explored. And lastly, this process of sharing ideas and then explaining, justifying, or connecting those shared ideas helps students to deepen their understanding. So to close and to end this topic, again, integrative approach for me is one of the reliable approach in language learning. It's not dictative, it's not a one-way process, it's not ideal. Instead, it allows students to be engaged with their experience.